Welcome to a new and very short update in which we'll be covering some scenarios on Bitcoin which are tradable. We are seeing a relief, some altcoins are even up 2x, and we're going to cover what's happening at this stage and what we could be expecting in terms of price action. We're also going to cover another update today, and during the weekend we'll be discussing the Luna case, so definitely subscribe beneath, like this YouTube update, check out my Twitter and Instagram where you can find daily content on the markets too. The past days have been extremely hectic, in which we have been seeing a massive volatility in which the prices of crypto has been dropping swiftly. We've seen numbers we've not been seeing since 2021 or 2020 even for some altcoins. And there were also some questions of what should I be doing with my positions. Well, the advice is that if something happens like that, is to just zoom out and do not do stupid things. Because if you're going to trade during that volatility because of emotions taking over, that is not the moment to start trading. In a sense, you're just seeing a snapshot of your portfolio dropping south heavily, and based on that snapshot, you're deciding, hey, I don't want to lose anything more, that's why I sell. But in the end, it's just numbers, and you should be looking at the data, and you just look at the data and see what you would be doing if you didn't have any position at all. That is always how you should be looking at it. So for instance, if Chainlink has dropped to $5 and you don't have any position at all, look at it in a way as in you would be looking at it for a new trade. Would you be buying it? Would you be selling it? Well, if you look at it with such a high red candle streak, you're definitely looking at longs instead of shorts. So that is a conclusion for yourself that you shouldn't be selling it. If Chainlink is at $25 or $50 like last year, also look at it as if it is a new trade, because then you're able to define a plan for the position that you're having if you don't have any plan yet. We're seeing a relief rally right now, and we're getting into a territory where people are going to flip-flop bias. Of course, we've had an overextended move to the downwards momentum or to south, in which the prices have been dropping way too much and over exaggerated because of the Luna case and also macroeconomics stepping in. And now we are going to see a relief rally in which the higher time frame resistance zones are going to act as a resistance point where people are looking to take profits or to get out of the markets, in which we're probably going to have a heavy volatility in the coming weeks. Flip-flopping bias, because the faster we get towards the resistance, the easier people will become bullish all over again, and then the markets will make a U-turn, and that's probably what we're going to see in the coming period. So let's look at the levels that I'm looking at with Bitcoin, and I'll also be looking at some altcoins in this first slide update to see which levels I'll be checking out. So when we're looking at the price action of Bitcoin, I think that we can be quite clear. I've made a tweet yesterday that I was looking for the area around 27.6, a little bit lower, to actually sustain, as then we were finally able to create ourselves a higher low. So in this case, we had this downwards turn, we reject at this block, we start dropping south again, create ourselves a new lower low in which we break south of this level, take the liquidity there, and then we started bouncing, in which we got back up above this level and continued to make movements, in which we had a test again at 30k, created ourselves a higher low, and finally the buyers are stepping in which we were able to create that higher low here at 28k, resulting into this move, resulting into the strength of the markets, in the sense that the altcoins are also bouncing at this point. And if the altcoins continue to bounce, and Bitcoin too, the weekly candles start to look a little bit better than what they have been doing in the past days. And then you also get the clear confirmation that in the end it's just a temporary snapshot of your portfolio. Looking at the markets right now, let's just first look at the higher time frames. I'll just get this one going. Let's just first look at the higher time frames. I said that 29.6 is an important level to watch, but if we're looking at the daily time frame, we have been sweeping the low here, and if we get a close above 29.5, that's going to result into a very interesting weekly candle in which we break back above that level again, and then we get a very well, let's say harsh wick here, and then the odds, and I'll just say the odds of potentially being a bottom here are slightly increasing. I think that we're getting into a period where the people are still expecting us to crash some more, and I'll be discussing a few bottom scenarios later today, but there is a slight opportunity that we have seen the worst. When we're looking at the daily time frame, we can see the following. We've got the sweep of the lows here. We've got a ton of volume happening to its Bitstamp, so the volume on Binance is even higher. When we're looking at the daily time frame, we can also get a clear levels that we should be looking at. First of all, the entire block around 37.5 is the one where we started with, so that's the break-off point. If we get there, probably we are not going to squeeze through it in one go. Then we also have this entire region around 34k, which we should be watching. That is also an important one. And if we start looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can definitely see what we're looking at this stage. I'll just erase this for a little bit. 4-hour block, we are currently in that case. So I'm assuming that we probably get another one before we start creating ourselves another higher low. And then we've got the ability to get towards 34. And that is the crucial break. And I think that if we break 34, we might be able to continue moving and continue the momentum. But this is the next resistance level where we should be looking at for any case. If we're looking at the lower time frame, I've got the same scenario here in which we are clearly seeing that we hold support, right? I'll just get towards the 30 minute. We have been making this higher low here in which we flipped the level once again. That is great. We continued making higher lows, and now if we want to have further momentum, as we just got into this range again, we have to hold the range low. So we've got back into this range, and in order to get tests at the higher levels, I preferably want to see this level hold for support, because that is the previous resistance point and the previous support and the break off here. So if that one is not going to sustain for support, I think that we're falling back in, and then I'm assuming that we might be testing 26.5 again, as we probably start cascading beneath this level and taking all those lows. So this is for me the crucial level to hold at this stage. If we can, we are probably going to continue moving towards the upper side of 32.7, and then we start investigating there whether we are going to have a correction taking place based on the higher time frames, or whether we can continue moving. But overall, on the lower time frames, we got some momentum at this stage. And when we're looking at altcoins, all those altcoins look the exact same. And I've been saying this before. If you think that Bitcoin is going to go up, a leverage long is an altcoin trade. So if Bitcoin is up approximately 30% at this stage, let's just look at it. If Bitcoin is up a little, and I'll just be checking it right now, Bitcoin is currently up 14%. If we look at GMT, for instance, GMT is currently up approximately 90%. So that is a big leverage trade that you can make. So the assumption is that if you are able to generate a conclusion on the momentum of Bitcoin, then an altcoin long is basically a leverage long on Bitcoin. So you don't really need actual leverage. GMT, beautiful retest of this block here, massive bounce since. Daily time frames are quite standard. We've got a level here around 176, and then we've got this entire block taking place here. 4-hour time frame, nothing special. I think we would even have a short trigger here, but if we look at the 4-hour, we can also see this break-off point here at $1.15, which we could be watching. So when we're looking at the price action, we can see that $1.15 is an important one. That is probably the one that I should be looking at. And if you look at the price action overall, we have been taking those levels here too. And through that, I think the assumption is that if we can't break through this level, we might be able to have a short all the way towards 125 to 115 for a potential higher low test, as we also got this previous low here, which could be an interesting one to take profits from. So in this case, I think that if we get with GMT back to this range, I might be looking at potential shorts. And if we get into this area here, I'm looking at longs in which we can continue playing. And then I'm assuming that we get continuation towards 228 and potentially a test to 240. So the trend is upwards, in which it makes it easier to actually make some buy the dip trades. But I think you should be sticking towards day trades instead of swing trades, based on the fact that the fear is not away. Yes, Luna has been gone, Macroeconomics are still around. We could be having some relief there, but the window of trading is relatively short because the panic is still relatively high. Looking at Ether, basically the same view at this stage. We got a beautiful bounce. We got ourselves a beautiful higher low. As we can see, we got ourselves a higher low here as we have been holding this level. Preferably, you want to see it sustain above this level now too. If that doesn't happen, I'm looking at the lower parts here too. So this is pretty much the range that you want to sustain. Break off point here too. And if we do, we are going to be able to have some more momentum on the markets. Basically on the 4 hours, it looks like we're going to have some slight momentum here, and we do have this relief. Eyes on Bitcoin, eyes on the macroeconomics today and US. And that's the update for today. Stay safe, don't do stupid shit, and I'll see you again later today.